Alrighty, so UFC Derek Lewis versus an absolute fucking nobody just took place, and I'm here to give you my breakdown of the whole card, thoughts and opinions, where the fighters go afterwards, take away from every single fight, okay? As a young blood in this sport, I've been watching consistently for about 4 years, and I'm just a fan of this sport, and yes, I do track my picks, and they will be at the end of this. I believe I went 8-4, but you can fact check me at the end of the video. Now, with that being said, and yes, I do have receipts, alright? All on Tapology. I can bring them up whenever I need, okay? But with all that being said, let's get into the card. Quick disclaimer, okay? It's been hot as fuck outside, okay? And there was someone cutting wires, alright, in the area I currently reside at. And the Wi-Fi was down for a while, and I wasn't able to watch this first fight. Dang, nabbit. I missed a Fatima Klein KO in round 3.
Get the fuck off the card.
Yikes, you know, will I go and watch this back later on my completely illegal streaming service? No, I don't give a fuck, alright? It's a woman's fight. If you're new around here, I literally coin flip women's fights. I don't give a fuck about them, okay? This time I just went with the heavy favorite because I just felt like Melissa Martinez sucks ass. Not literally. Otherwise, I'd actually be watching the fight. But regardless, we move on to the actual first fight of the card. We all know it. I did pick Fatima Klein. I don't give a fuck about the fight. I didn't see any of the fight, so don't ask me how it went. All right, but we move on to Mitch Ramirez versus Mike Davis. I went with Mitch Ramirez, okay? And I know I'm probably going to get a lot of flack once I'm around for a certain amount of time and people start flaming me for my old takes. Yes, I did pick Mitch Ramirez, even though he hasn't won in the UFC. I did it purely because Mike Davis has no, will to really be something in the division, even though he clearly has the talent. He literally just doesn't have the work ethic. He doesn't want to fight more than once a year. He literally averages 1 fight a year. I think it's even worse than that, because if I'm not mistaken, his 5th fight was, or I guess at this point it would be like 5 years ago. So yeah, he averages about 1 fight a year. I've only seen this guy fight 2 times, and one of those times he ate shit against, what was his name? Parisiam, I want to say. Yeah, he just looked like a BJJ nerd. And to be honest with you, I don't really have that much higher of opinion. I just have a lower opinion over Mitch Ramirez. Mitch Ramirez in the Thiago Santos fight. I think that was Thiago Santos, I want to say. No, Thiago Moises. Thiago Santos is a different weight division, different era. Regardless, Thiago Moises. That fight, Mitch Ramirez at least looked like he had, skill, and he looked pretty tough until he got TKO'd via leg kicks. But Mike Davis isn't a leg kick dude. He's very slow. He's very plotty. He's very easy to read. And Mitch Ramirez in round 2 was catching him. But round 1, I mean, Mike Davis got the back. He had the back for about 4 minutes. Kept on going for rear nakeds, and Mitch Ramirez showcased a tutorial on how to stop rear naked chokes. You know, he did really well, to be fair. You know, shout out to Mitch Ramirez, even though he's been a victim towards Carlos Prates and Thiago Moises, and now also Mike Davis. Round 1, he got his back taken. 4 minutes. It is what it is. We move on to round 2. Mitch Ramirez looks a little slow, looks a little gassed out, but he's landing really good on Mike Davis. Mike Davis looks open on the feet. I know it was a taxing round 1 for Davis, but Davis did look like shit. Until he got a finishing sequence, I guess. He landed a few good overhands on Mitch Ramirez. Other than that, his jab was okay. But Mike Davis really does look like an old era fighter, even though he's only 32. He looks like his style is from highlights from 10 years ago. You know, I wouldn't be surprised if I saw the way he fights now looks like the way Tony Ferguson and Kevin Lee, people like that fought back in the day. Very slow, very open on the feet, very not all your weight behind it, you know. But Mike Davis does have talent for BJJ. Got a nice KO over Mitch Ramirez. Good Mike Davis win. But his stock for me doesn't raise that much, okay? I don't think he will ever get ranked. Yeah, stick to streaming low, bro. Moving on, we have Kennedy Nunchukwu versus Walter Walker. Kennedy fans. Oh, what was that talk? Oh, Volter Walker's a bum. Oh, Volter Walker sucks. Kennedy's really smart. Kennedy's grappled with Jan Kutalaba. Where was all that talk, you know? Ooh, Volter Walker fans are eating out. Listen, okay, if you did pick Kennedy, my heart goes out to you. You probably lost money on him because a lot of people were betting heavy on Kennedy Nunchukwu. All right, there's a reason why he was such a heavy favorite. Now, he was like minus 200. Now, what I will say is the people who bet on, or the people picking Kennedy, 99% of them either didn't see Ovince St. Preux 2 years ago beat the shit, put a better pace on Kennedy Nunchukwu, beat the living shit out of Kennedy, and put a better pace on Kennedy. A 45-year-old man did that 2 years ago, by the way. They either didn't see that, so you know what, if you didn't see that performance, I get it, or they're old heads who've been watching the sport for like 5 to 10 years, and they, like 10 years plus, and they've been like, oh, well, he showcased great grappling defense here, and, you know, he's kind of, like, pretty good with submission. His jiu-jitsu isn't that bad because of the Jan Kutalaba performance, you know. They're, like, 5 years ago. Like, listen, Kennedy can crush cans. But Kennedy's weakness is anyone with any sort of fucking talent, all right? Jan Kutalaba is a dumbass, all right? He just has no brain cells in the octagon. Can he win? Yes. He can also, like, he also, more often than not, just loses because he's dumb. Lost to another 45-year-old man and fucking, what was his name? Felipe Lins? Phil Lins? Whatever the fuck his name was. I think it was Felipe Lins. Lost to another 45-year-old man, all right? And Kennedy Nunchukwu, he's got all the talent in the world. He's got a crazy reach. He's tall as shit. He didn't land a single strike. That's crazy. Volter Walker has talent, all right? That's one thing you can say about the Walker brothers. They have talent, all right? There's a reason why Ankalaev was on a minus 1,000 in the Johnny Walker fight. Johnny Walker and Volter Walker, they do have talent. One of them's, their talent is that they just have heat in their hands. The other one's talent is that he can just pull a submission out of his ass, all right? When Kennedy goes against people with talent, he stands there and he does, like, he can't process the talent calculations in his brain. All right? So when Volter Walker's fucking Dumbo looking ass is just charging headfirst to shoot a takedown, doesn't get it, Kennedy's like so confused of the level of talent he sees on display that he's backing up, smiling, tongue out like, heh, yeah, I got this shit. And then out of nowhere, Volter Walker pulls a fucking heel hook. Third one in a row. He's got that plot armor. I think I literally called it. I think he gets another heel hook. I think I had this perfect round one submission. Yeah, Volter Walker is just a good heavyweight. Kennedy can crush these fat fucks that don't know what they're doing at heavyweight. And I get, like, MMA math. I think it was Lucas Brzeski or whatever the fuck his name was that beat Volter Walker. There's a lot of stuff around that. That was debut. Volter Walker was probably coming off sauce. There's a lot of things around that fight. First loss, you know, the first time he's really struggled. And, you know, now he's like in round 3, huffing and puffing. Didn't really expect it to go this way. Like, there's a lot of shit there. Volter Walker's, he's picking up pace now. And he's beating the guys he should be beating now. And Kennedy is just one of those guys. Kennedy will never get ranked. He's shit. He's shit because he's dumb, and because he's dumb, he fights like shit. Correct me if I'm wrong. But if you did pick him, I get why, alright? I'm not going to sit here and, like, call you a dumbass or anything, because I know some people who pick Kennedy. But, Jacob from We Want Picks. But, you know, I get why you would pick him. He showcased that he has skill in other fights, but he's just dumb. Like Jan Kutalaba. They're just dumb. You can't rely on them to... Like, when they have one win, it's like, okay, that's okay, you know, he's back in the win column. When they have 2 wins, it's like, eesh, I don't really know if he gets a third. When he gets 3 wins, it's like, there's no fucking way he gets 4 in a row. It's not possible with these guys, all right? That's what happens when these stupid 50-50 fighters, you know, and Kennedy's just one of them. Been around for a while. You'll probably still be around for a while. Run Ryan Spann versus Kennedy at heavyweight. I don't know. I don't give a fuck. Moving on. Lauren Murphy versus Eduarda Moura. Yeah, I didn't really pay attention to this one. Hand on the Bible. And, I don't know, like, I clocked in and I saw the last round and Eduarda looked like she was doing shit and then, like, was doing okay. I mean, both of them just looked like shit. Lauren Murphy got close to a gilly in round 3. Round 1 and 2 were kind of close just on numbers and pace and everything, but the idea was that it was 1-1 going into the third, and Eduarda really almost shit the bag in the third, I feel like, but, you know, it's just a women decision at the end of the day, 29-28. I think it was a split. Lauren Murphy retired, MMA Guru missed it. What a casual, am I right, guys? Not even fucking watching the first 3 fights live. Like, what a bum. Anyways. MMA Guru. Okay, listen, I watch your content. Please don't, it's just joking, all right? Don't send your cult my way, okay? Anyways, moving on. Jake Matthews versus Chitty Chitty Bang Bang. Now, I went with Chitty Chitty Bang Bang, all right? I'm not going to say his last name because my kind, all right? We aren't really supposed to be saying those last names, if you get what I mean. But, Chitty Chitty Bang Bang here. Listen, I'm not even mad at Chitty. I was pretty high on Chitty. I was like, bro, this guy's gonna whoop the shit out of Jake Matthews. Jake Matthews just fought a fucking featherweight, alright? Who's 21, 22 years old. Chitty has been around, okay? He's knocked out fucking light heavyweights, alright? This guy's gonna come in here, piece up Jake Matthews. Jake Matthews has looked breakable in fights. Chitty's gonna go in there and break him. He didn't, alright? Hand on the Bible, okay? I was wrong on this one. I think... So I was incorrect, obviously, because I picked Chitty. But Jake Matthews did look good, but it was one of these performances where it's like, he didn't, like, there's no fight that speaks out to me where Jake sort of has this, all right, I'm a fucking latch onto your back, lock in that rear naked choke sort of blueprint, you know? This looked like one of those fights where, like a Justin Gaethje head kick in round 2 against Dustin Poirier, where it's like, damn, sick win. That's never gonna happen again. You know what I mean? Like, this was like, I think even Jake Matthews said it in his post-fight. He's like, yeah, man, he's a tough guy, probably the hardest fighter I fought. That was probably a 1 in 20 chance I get that win that way. But I just think Chitty wasn't expecting this small little white boy to crawl on his back, instantly lock a rear naked that fast. And I think Chitty was so long, like his reach is kind of crazy. He was so long that he couldn't fight the hands because Jake Matthews is like so like scrunched up going in on that rear naked, so fucking tight and closed up that Chitty just couldn't reach for the hand to break the guard. So he tried to shuck him off by like separating the feet, and he just couldn't, because Jake Matthews locked on so hard. He's like a little white tick that just fucking latched on to Chitty, and Chitty's like, ah, fuck, get him off, man, get him off. You know, he couldn't get him off, so, hey, I'm happy a fellow Ginger won, alright? That was truly the, the pick all along, alright? Shout out to Lock of the Week from Jacob from We Want Picks, but, yeah, I went with Chitty. I do think, like, my stock with Chitty doesn't lower. I just think this was one of those... Who the fuck expected Jake Matthews within the first minute after, like, 2 or 3, what was it, body kicks or something? Yeah, it was 5 body kicks or some shit like that. 5 teeps to the body. And then he just fucking latches onto the back instantly, jumps on fucking, well, what is it called? It's not a seatbelt when you do it with your legs. Ah, fuck, what is it called? Locks himself on the back. I don't know what it's called, but locks himself on the back with his legs, alright, while standing, and Chitty's like, oh shit, this guy's getting on my neck, what the fuck? I can't reach, man, I can't get him, I'm too long, and, yeah, Jake Matthews gets it done. It was a sick performance. I got respect for Chitty. I'm gonna be excited for his next fight. He's gonna be a nice 170. Did miss weight again, alright? Maybe we go back up to middleweight, okay? That's all I'm saying. All right, Chitty? All right, brother? I don't think welterweight is, the home, all right? So, yeah, Chitty missed weight. It is what it is. Jake Matthews gets it done. I don't know if I'm going to, like... his performance, I'm not going to base any of his fights with the performance he just had. I'm going to be basing it off of, like, the Prado performance. This was one of those, like, bro, this is never going to happen again. Like, I don't think it's going to happen again. Maybe I'm wrong, and maybe this will be on a Jake Matthews edit or some shit. But, yeah, it is what it is. Moving on, Max Griffin versus Chris Curtis. This was an interesting fight, and I called it perfectly. Vintage Chris Curtis decision, 29-28. Now, what I will say, Chris Curtis is the better fighter by a landslide in this fight. But vintage Chris Curtis, even at welterweight, is going to have this problem where he just doesn't do enough to make a round clear. All right? There's a world where you score this for Max Griffin. Max Griffin was on his bike for 15 minutes, all right? Scooting around, trying to get away from Chris the whole time. And Chris did land clean. Max just didn't have anything that could damage him. When Chris enters flow state, it is as good as Manel Cap. That might be overglazed because I'm a Sean Strickland, all right, glazer. But I do think when Chris Curtis enters his, like, flow state, when he was in there, fucking head movement, and he's fucking, you know? His head movement is fucking slick. But he just needs more output. And maybe it's because he's sparring with Strickland all the time, so he's constantly dealing with fucking 10 strikes per second. But he doesn't guard shots unless it's very blatant. Like, head kicks he'll guard, and then everything else with head movement. It's very rough for Chris Curtis predicting his fights going forward, because he is getting older. He did get tagged by Max Griffin a few times, but nothing was too damaging. Chris was smiling the whole time, and what I will say is, yes, there was a headbutt in round 1 and 2 and 3, but Chris Curtis initiated all of them, okay? He's the one dipping his head down, sort of like Bobby Green, and then complaining about a headbutt. Brother, you initiated it. It is what it is. But when Chris enters flow state, he does look fucking clean. So, Chris is good. Yeah, he might get like 15, like, he beats Neil Magny. You know, he beats... Whew. He beat Burns, you know, he beat Gilbert Burns, you know? But yeah, it'd be kind of tough. Like, a welterweight, like, Chitty would probably do well. A welterweight, Brian Battle, you know, Buckley, these type of guys, they would probably destroy Chris Curtis, but, you know, I think he looked pretty good at welterweight. He looked filled in. He just needs more output, and it's almost like he's in this moment where it's like he thinks it's a sparring session where he's showcasing he's a higher level. Kind of like when Strickland's on those YouTube videos and he's fighting like influencers and shit, and he's just letting the influencer hit him, and then eventually he like turns it up and isn't able to drop Sneeko. Bad look. But shit like that, where it's like Chris was doing almost the same thing, and he's not able to drop his opponent either, but he does do more damage than his opponent. That's what I'll say. But yeah, great performance in terms of like skill. I guess there was one moment where he literally tripped Max Griffin, and he was laughing at him, watching him stand up. It was like, he has moments, but he's not clearly winning enough to like give those moments. You know, at least with Manel Cap, when he's in his flow state, he's clearly up in the round, even though like Bruno Silva was making it close. In that Manel Cap Bruno Silva fight, it is just like the way everything's going, trajectory, everything. Manel Cap's up in this round, and he's in his flow state doing his thing. Sick. Chris doesn't have that, but he does have those flow state movements where it looks fluid, it looks nice, it looks clean. It's like, this is why we watch MMA. But yeah, moving on. I picked Chris Curtis vintage decision. I think I already mentioned that. Moving on, we have Junior Tafa versus Tuco Tacos. Damina, waka waka, I picked Tuco Tacos. I mean, people forget, man. He's only fought flawless prospects in UFC. Yeah, if you pick Junior Tafa, I don't, like, you were literally just relying on a one-punch KO. Listen, I get why Bedtime MMA and a few other people picked Junior Tafa. But, like, can we just be real? The Tafa brothers, they're fucking highlight farmers that just want a big, like, KO moment. And that's it. They can't defend takedowns. They can't do shit, alright? And Tuco Tacos is apparently a black belt. I didn't know that. But his grappling looked pretty good against a Navajo Sterling. And against the other guy he fought. Who was the other guy he fought, actually? I can't remember off the top of my head. Umar Sai, that's what it was. That's what it was. So, he did get out-grappled by, like, another big... He got out-grappled by, like, a big, rangy dude who's, like, good in grappling. Junior Tafa had a one-punch or nothing, alright? And Navajo Sterling at least had, like, clinchability, everything. Junior Tafa has literally just a right hand. That is it. That is all he has. Tuco Tacos, as much as people are like, this guy's an NPC... Bro, he's tough as shit. In the Navajo Sterling fight, he landed good shots on Navajo. Navajo's got an iron chin, I think is what we found out from his last performance. And Tuco Tacos was also eating bombs. Like, he's tough, man. He's not a bum at heavyweight that is just a fat fuck waiting to get right-handed like Austin Lane or some shit that doesn't fucking train MMA. Tuco Tacos, even though Brendan Allen's in his corner, which is a red flag, he is a legit MMA fighter. He's a legit mixed martial artist. Junior Tafa legit thought this guy was a taco, and he thought he was going to eat right through him, got in the cage, and by the end of round one, he's like, oh shit, this taco's really weighing on me. Yeah. That's what happens in MMA when you're against a mixed martial artist, you know? The blueprint to beat the Tafa brothers has already been out. Tuco Tacos, like... And also, bro, Junior Tafa has lost striking exchanges against Marcos Rogerio de Lima and a bunch, like, it's not like Junior Tafa's weakness is just like, oh man, you gotta get him down. No, he just sucks. Like, he does. He is just shit. You know? And I'm kicking myself in the ass because I didn't bet Tuco Tacos here. Actually, I'm not that upset because why the fuck would I bet on someone who's 11-5, 10-5 before this win? But yeah, Tuco Tacos got the sub. Very easy, very clean. Looks kind of like he could be a middleweight, but to be honest, he might be one of these guys who's like a middleweight that goes to light heavyweight because a lot of his team fights at middleweight, judging by his Brendan Allen teammate. But, you know, it was a good performance from Tuco Tacos. Just cut the Tafa brothers. Or, sudden death. You have the Tafa brothers in the cage. Winner stays in the UFC, okay? You have Junior versus Justin. The brothers turn to the dark side, and the winner, they get to stay in UFC and be a fat fuck at heavyweight, and fight Tai Tuivasa to find out who the real Samoan is. But yeah, moving on, we have Vitor Petrino versus Austin Lane. I went with Austin Lane purely because I hate Vitor Petrino. This guy fucking sucks, and I will always promote he sucks. His Tyson Pedro performance was fucking terrible. I called that he would get slept by Dustin Jacoby. And I also called that Anthony Smith would, like, he was live in that matchup. I didn't pick Anthony Smith, self-admittedly, but I did say, like, I can see Anthony Smith winning this one. Austin Lane, in my opinion, all he needed to do was train grappling defense, and he wins this fight. If we're talking about striking... Bro, Vitor Petrino is not one of these fucking... Wow, he's got 2 wins on Rodolfo Bellato. Whoa, guys. Oh my god, he's got 2 wins on Rodolfo Bellato. Hold my fucking beer. Okay? Other than that, like... That's his best name, I guess. Austin Lane's probably his best name now, I guess. Like, his wins are dog shit. His losses are even worse, to be honest with you. And he looks like shit in those fights, man. And, listen, I get it's like, oh, the guy with black belt filled in at heavyweight. By the way, if I did see a picture of what this guy was looking like, because I made the prediction on, like, Sunday or some shit. If I saw what this guy looked like, what Vitor Petrino looked like at weigh-ins, I probably would have picked him. Because this guy looks like he's sauced up, okay? He looks like what fucking... Who's Rizvan Kuniev wished he looked like, alright? Vitor Petrino looks like a bouncer. Like a legit fucking... This guy's competing for strongman tomorrow, okay? Like, that guy looks sauced up as shit. Austin Lane, you know, he didn't get smoked. He just went for a leg kick. Vitor Petrino caught it. Vitor Petrino ended up on full mount. Okay, passing the guard, full mount for 3 minutes. Did nothing. Got to the back, locked in a rear naked. Austin Lane, someone had a rear naked on him. So imagine someone's got their arm around my neck. Austin Lane, with his two free hands, did this. Get me out. And he's fucking tapped. All right. That's all he did. He did fucking nothing. Rule 101 in jiu-jitsu. If someone's got your fucking neck, okay, you fight hands. If I'm Austin Lane with that reach, I'm reaching, grabbing his hand, taking it off my head so that he can't get leverage. Oh, the hand's fucking locked like this? Okay, then you reach over and you grab and try to separate with your two fucking hands. You grab these two hands with his arm around your neck and you yank it off, okay? He literally didn't do anything like that. And there was a solid 10 seconds where he could have. So, Austin Lane's a fucking dumbass. I think we all kind of knew that, but, you know, NFL player going to UFC is never a good look, but fuck Vitor Petrino. I'm still going to pick against him in every single matchup. Moving on. Nate the Train versus Morgan. Honestly, with Vitor Petrino, do Vitor versus Kennedy. Find out who the shit light heavyweight was, all right? That's what I would do. Moving on, you have Nate the Train versus Morgan Charrier. This one hurts. I picked Morgan Charrier. God damn it, Nate the Train, man. There's an argument. He was up 2-0, okay? There is an argument out there. He was up 2-0, Nate the Train was. And he was looking good. He was looking vintage Nate the Train out there, getting his jab. You know, Morgan's fucking breaking. He's not knowing what to do. You know, round one, you know, it's fairly competitive. They're swinging back and forth. You argue either man. You know, Nate the Train looks like he busted up his nose. Morgan Charrier, you know, he's doing good with those calf kicks. But he is getting tagged, you know. And round two starts, and Nate the Train establishes that jab early. He's fucking dodging those low kicks. He's looking really good in the pocket, out of the pocket. Like, he's doing really fucking good, you know? And then MMA Guru had to open his big fat mouth and fucking say, oh, fucking Morgan Charrier is shit, isn't he, guys? By the end of round two. And what happens? Round three starts. Nate the Train got cursed, and he get fucking slept, okay? God damn it, MMA Guru. You did this to Nate the Train, okay? You motherfucker. You jinxed it. You know? We failed because MMA Guru fucking cursed us, alright? So, it is what it is. Nate the Train got slumped out cold in round three. He had a really, really good round two. And there, you know, there's an argument, early stoppage, I guess, but Nate was getting fucked up pretty bad. And shout out to Morgan Charrier's warrior spirit. He is good. He is just like, if you are pushing a pace, he doesn't know how to deal with a pace. But if you give him time to throw back and you're not like if you burst into him like a Robert Whittaker style, and then you have that minute or like 30-second recharge, that's where Morgan Charrier starts to heat up. But if you just poke range at him like a Sean Woodson style, like whoever the fuck that guy fought John Woodson, the other tall dude, like that sort of style where you're just like at range, poking, you know, where you're just like jabbing away, calf kicks, stuff like that. That's where you beat Morgan Charrier. And round three comes by. I don't know what his corner said, but his corner apparently was hyping him up. He goes in there and they're like, oh, you need a box with this guy. I think that's what they said. And, you know, French Canadian over here, just Canadian, by the way. I don't think I have a single French gene in my blood, but just saying. I'm from the English variant, if you will. But, you know, colonize this country first, okay? But, yeah, Morgan Charrier, he went in there. Nate started very, like, we're assuming 1-1, worst case, 2-0 Nate the Train, okay? Going into the third, Nate starts, and he fucking goes in there and starts to try to blitz him, like, fucking, yeah, you know, going in there Nate the Train style. Nate the Train, baby, look at this bicep, you know? And then he stops for about 10 seconds, and Morgan's just like, fuck it. And he goes in there, and he just starts fucking, yay. Just fucking swinging for the fences, hands down, asking, like, I will live and die on this sword. He's, like, accepting getting KO'd if Nate the Train's got it in him. and Nate just didn't have it in him to throw back. Bro, Morgan landed nasty body shots, nasty up top to the head, missed one, landed a left. Fucking, you have Nate to train, fucking covering up, fucking trying to dodge. It just wasn't enough, man. God damn it. You know, if he wasn't 37, he probably gets it done. But Nate to train gets cursed by MMA Guru and it gets fucked. It is what it is. I got my pick right, though. I picked Morgan Charrier. I went with decision, but he got it done. Like, he hits hard, but he is one of these guys that, like, he finished a 37-year-old Nate to train, okay? Like, he could finish Edson Barbosa. He could finish Sadiq Youssef, but he's never going to finish, like, Rob Font. You know what I mean? That's where I think Morgan Charrier sort of stands. Why did I say Rob Font? That's a 135er. Who's 145? He's not finishing like an Arnold Allen. You know? That's just not happening. But we move on to Calvin Kattar versus Steve Garcia. And let me just say, if you're that guy in my predictions video who's watching this video after the fact where you were glazing the fuck out of Calvin Kattar, you were saying, oh, we aren't watching the same fights because Calvin Kattar is, you know, he's just a better fighter. He's going to KO Steve Garcia in round 1. Listen, okay, I get why Calvin Kattar fans exist. I'm just going to say it, though. As a young blood, I've been around for about 4 years. I have not seen Calvin Kattar win a round. I haven't seen it in the highlights. I haven't seen it in... And if he's winning a round, it's him getting a finish in a round from, like, years and years ago. Like, that era's over, you know? He's had fucking 15 knee surgeries since then. He's had 14 broken noses. You know, he's had 3 kids since then, you know? He's got 5 baby mamas in the back. I don't know if that's actual lore, but you get my point. Like, that's all forever ago. That's, like, decade ago, I guess. But, obviously there's that Max Holloway fight where he was keeping it kind of competitive. That was, like, 5 years ago, man. Like, I, as a UFC fan, have not seen Calvin Kattar clearly win a round. Listen, the Yusuf Zalal fight, he got close in moments, but he didn't clearly win a round. And Yusuf Zalal didn't really need to do shit to clearly win rounds. Tapping at the leg, running away, like Calvin Kattar just doesn't have anything on his tool belt. He's got a jab, he's got a right hand, and he's got a hook. And that's it. He doesn't have calf kicks, he doesn't have spinning shit, even though he tried it a few times. He does have spinning back fists, I guess. That's also on the tool belt at the age of 39, 38, however old Calvin Kattar is. But Steve Garcia, at the end of the day, he spawned from a Sean Woodson egg from, like, Tony Ferguson DNA. If you don't know who fucking Sean Woodson is, I'll put the creature, you know, hey, jump scare warning, all right? Sean Woodson right there. But, yeah. He is a creature to behold, but he's got that Tony Ferguson energy where if he gets cracked, he still wants to fight. You know what I mean? Almost like Nate Landwehr, where, like, they'll get cracked and they'll still be in there and they'll still be like, I'm gonna fucking die now. You know what I mean? Like, they got that crackhead energy in them, you know? But he's also got the Sean Woodson, I was gonna say buff, but I don't know if that's really a buff. He's got that Sean Woodson gene where he's just got that really weird reach coupled with really weird leg length. So it's hard to get at him when he's staying out range using his kicks. I think at one point he was landing like 3 teeps, like back to back to back, just on Calvin Kattar, and Calvin couldn't do shit. You know? Round 1, it was kind of, I was going to say kind of close, but Steve Garcia just whooped his ass. He established a jab, and he was just jabbing the fuck out of Calvin Kattar, and Calvin Kattar just didn't know how to deal with it. You know? And it was one of those, like, damn, Unk really don't got it anymore. You know? Like, how the fuck is this guy ranked? Type performances. And then round 2 comes by, and it's like, okay, he's attempting a spinning back fist here now. Even though he attempted 8 strikes in the last round, you know? He's attempting a clinch here, you know? Okay, he landed okay there, you know? But Steve Garcia ate it. And listen, if this was like a Dan Ige, if this was like a Arnold Allen, if this was like a Dan Hooker, I know Dan Hooker's lightweight, but let's just say featherweight or something, Edson Barbosa, I don't know if Steve Garcia beats that guy because those guys fucking hit hard. Calvin Kattar has no ability in his, like, he hasn't showcased it, definitely, in his past 3 fights. His Aljo, his Yusuf Zalal, and now Steve Garcia fight. He doesn't have the ability to hurt someone and get respect on the feet. Steve Garcia can lay crunched over, chin wide open, Tony Ferguson style, just whipping out a jab like Sean Woodson, and feel no threat. Calvin Kattar's got nothing to, like, show. He's got no knee. He's got no fucking... You know, at one point I thought his knee blew out because he wobbled on it funny. He landed on his ass, but... Like, that's just the thing. He's just an old man. And listen, skill for skill, there's an argument Calvin Kattar is, like, better in areas over Steve Garcia. But this is mixed martial artist, okay? If Calvin Kattar is, like, a much better boxer than Steve Garcia, it doesn't fucking matter. Because he needs to get past the distance of an MMA fighter, you know? And Calvin Kattar comes from an era, like, decades ago. Like, a decade ago, I should say. Like Mike Davis. Where they just come from different eras. But Calvin Kattar's older. He doesn't have any other tools in his bag other than his boxing. That's just not enough anymore, you know? So he got cooked by Steve Garcia. Steve Garcia wins. Yeah, first decision, I think, in the UFC for Steve Garcia. Warranted. Calvin Kattar's tough as shit. Yeah, just cut Calvin Kattar, to be honest with you. Let him ride off into the wind before he gets fucking chinned in his next fight. Or do an Edson Barbosa fight with Calvin Kattar. I wouldn't mind that either. Moving on. Wonder Boy versus Gabriel Bonfim. Now, some people call this a robbery. And I just want to say this. I'm biased towards Wonder Boy as a fellow Caucasian male. I'm also biased towards Wonder Boy because he's one of the first fighters I saw when I was watching UFC. It was like Dustin Poirier, Wonder Boy, and there's like another Peter Yan. Who's another one? Like maybe O'Malley, and like I want to say Brandon Moreno maybe or some shit like that. Basically, Wonder Boy was one of the first guys I was like, holy shit, like this sport's real. You know, this ain't WWE. This guy's like a legit warrior out there when it comes to karate. Like, when I watch Karate Kid, I'm like, it's obviously fake, scripted, whatever. But when I see Wonder Boy do it, I'm like, holy shit, this guy's actually made, like, a style from a movie. I get it's like, that's the style, like, that's a karate style and everything. But Wonder Boy is 99% karate, 0.1 or 1% takedown defense, you know? And that 1% takedown defense came through in this fight. And here's what I'll say. Round 1, I thought I missed about a minute and a half due to internet problems. Like I said, somebody cut fucking wires, so there was internet problems throughout some of this card. But I watched most of it pretty well. I missed about a minute 30 in the first round. So I can't really say for sure Gabriel Bonfim won the round. But it felt like Gabriel Bonfim won the round. Round 2... I know a lot of people are trying to say Wonder Boy won round 2 very clearly. And listen, I think every judge did score round 2. I do think round 2, there is an argument Bonfim won. And I get the argument like, oh, but he almost had him finished in the last 30 seconds. It seems that today's day and age, and it's been like this for like a year, I want to say, maybe over a year. Judges care about the final minute 30 more than the 3 minutes 30 seconds that happened, okay? And what I mean by that is if you look at the first 3 minutes, and this is the same thing that goes on to round 3. If you look at the first 3 minutes, Bonfim was doing really well. He was catching Wonder Boy a few moments. He caught him on the chin pretty good. You know, there was one moment where his gum shield was hanging out for a second. You know, Wonder Boy had to, like, readjust himself. And then he also had that cut on the shin. Which, you know, Wonder Boy's a warrior, you know, even though Unk got some gray hairs, okay? He's still a warrior, and he fought through it, even though he was, like, agitated by it, very clearly. But he was getting pieced up, and he was getting held against the cage in round 2 by Bonfim. And then in the final, like, 30 seconds, Bonfim got a little too lazy, got hit by a head kick, got wobbled pretty bad. I think he was dropped, I want to say. He was either dropped or, like, put to one knee, aka, like, basically dropped. And then he got wobbled pretty bad by a head kick, and the bell saved him. If you want to say Wonder Boy won that because of the final 30 seconds, I'm fine with that. Hey, I wouldn't disagree with that. But there's also an argument to be said. If we're talking about damage-based scoring, Gabriel Bonfim did do more damage. He clipped him on the chin, had his gum shield hanging. He opened up a fucking slice on his knee. He got a cut near his eye. Like, there's some pretty decent argument. Bonfim won round 2. And then round 3. But, you know, I'm biased. Wonderboy won round 2. Round 3. Listen, Wonderboy's doing well for the first 3 minutes. He's whooping Gabriel Bonfim's ass. Not kickboxing, karate style. Just kicking him at range. Doing a little tappy, tappy low kicks, but he was landing clean on the jaw, spinning that jaw around, had Gabriel Bonfim wobbled here and there, but I think actually the eye cut opened up in round 3, I want to say. It might have been round 2, but I think it was actually round 3. So round 3 is a little cut near his eye, that is damage. I get it. He did, he's still up in the round, despite that cut happening, but the moment Bonfim shot a takedown in the minute 30, I just knew the judges were going to give it to Wonderboy. Do I think Wonderboy should have been awarded the win because he's older, because he's a veteran, because, he just should, because he just had a more impressive performance? He looked like he wanted to actually fight? Yes. But the way the judges have been scoring this, they only care about the last minute 30. We saw that with Merab. O'Malley won, despite what people want to fucking say. O'Malley's whooping Merab's ass for 3 minutes and 30 seconds in round 1. And the final minute 30, he gets taken down. And they score that round for Merab. And everyone's like, oh, he dominated him. No, he didn't. But that was the first fight. Second fight, different story. But when it came to Wonderboy, it's also like these judges, they're sitting octagon side, like watching it. Like, not from a monitor like us, seeing that open cut and everything. I bet you any fucking money, any money in my bank account right now, those judges thought that fucking the shin cut, it got worse in round 3. And maybe it did. Maybe it did get worse. But they scored that as like the damage. Like, oh, Bonfim did more damage because the cut opened up more. Just because it was bleeding more. Maybe it did. But I'm so sick of like when a fighter gets like Strickland, Dricus du Plessis won. When Strickland's cut opened up above his brow, despite him outlanding DDP in the next 2 rounds, stuffing every takedown, and DDP not really doing fuck all for the next 2 rounds. We're talking about Strickland. DDP won. He outlanded DDP and clearly won those rounds. If we're not taking into account a cut from round 3 was bleeding in those rounds. That's all the damage DDP really did in those rounds. In my opinion, Strickland, like, should have won that, and there's no real argument on why DDP did. Obviously, there's those clips of, like, Strickland's fucking half face being covered in blood, but that's what I mean. Like, judges, when a cut is pre-established in previous rounds, I feel like they're scoring that from, like, in the future rounds. So if you get a cut above your eye that happens in round 1, and we're in round 4, and that cut's getting worse, or that cut's starting to bleed again, the judges are taking that into account and being like, oh, well, it's bleeding again, therefore, it's like a knockdown just happened, even though that's not how that works. So I get why they gave it to Bonfim. I'm not like this is a brutal robbery. This is just how they've been scoring the fights, and it is a problem with the scoring, because Steven Wonderboy, from optics-wise, won that fight. But that's what I'll say. That's my 2 cents on that. Moving on! I had Gabriel Bonfim, by the way. But I wanted Wonderboy to win. I still think he's one of the best strikers in the UFC right now. He gives Pereira problems in terms of technique, and he fucking smokes a guy like Sean O'Malley in terms of technique, all right? In terms of flow state, you know what I mean? So, yeah. I rate Wonderboy very highly, okay? I rate him as, like, number 1 to top 3 strikers right now. I put him in, right? So, sucks to see. Honestly, I would just retire if I'm Wonderboy. Getting robbed like that. Robbed, but you know what I mean. Wonderboy's he's caught one of those styles from, like, 10 years ago, where it's like, you can get by with just having one discipline. You need to be a little bit good everywhere and really good at one thing. You can't just be really good at one thing and meh at everything else, Wonderboy's got no submission threat. He's got nothing other than stuffing your head off a bad takedown. That's about it. We move on to a 30-second KO by the Derek Lewis, all right? who also, I want to point out, flashed his cheeks to the crowd. Everyone saw Chocolate Starfish on that night. Thank fuck that camera did not pan to the other end of that, the fucking angle. Thank Christ I didn't get to see that Chocolate Starfish. Now, obviously Trump called this guy, and if you're curious, yes, I did pick Taliesin Teixeira. I literally said in my breakdown, I am only picking Taliesin because Derek Lewis is 40 years old. Skill for skill, he's the better fighter. But he's 40 years old. I think he's going to do something stupid, get caught. Taliesin got caught. Arguably early stoppage. Because Taliesin got right back to his feet. And the ref just like waved it off. Even though he got right back to his feet. He did get hurt pretty hard. But where they stopped it, I think, is bullshit. They could have stopped it when he got fucking dropped pretty bad. And Derek Lewis was running at him like... You know, like Derek Lewis fashion. So Black Beast gets it done. We do Derek Lewis versus Tom Aspinall for a title shot, I guess. Derek Lewis, Jon Jones for #1 contender. Book it now. All right, so yeah, that's been my breakdown of the whole card. And yes, I did put $10 on Derek Lewis by KO as an underdog, plus 300. I'd be a psychopath if I did fucking do that. All right, so I did win money on Derek Lewis getting a KO. If you made it to the end of this video, I want to thank you for watching, and as always, I hope you have a good day.